Hey, hi, hello everyone. In this video, I'll be talking about water management problem, which is one of the problems on GeekTrust website. I've been asked this question as a takeaway assignment in one of the interviews. The problem says that you work at Waterville, a startup developing smart solution for water management. And Geek Hype community has approached you to use the software to manage their water bills efficiently. So we want to build a water management system, bill management system. Each Geekite apartment is allotted with the corporation and borewell water in specific ratio at the of the month. There are two bedrooms and three bedroom apartments in community, and it is assumed that they'll hold three and five people respectively. So there are two types of apartment. There is 2 BHK, there is 3 BHK, and in 2 BHK you can accommodate three people, and in 3 BHK you can accommodate five people. Each person is allotted with 10 liter of water per day. So 2 BHK apartment will be allotted 900 liter, three person each 10 liter for 30 days. So it becomes 900 of the water per month, and 3 BHK apartment will allot 1500 liter, which is 5 into 10 into 30 of water per month. The total water consumption is then split between corporation and borewell based on the ratio. If there are additional guests in the apartment, the total allotted water will not be sufficient, and the apartment has to ask for tanker water. And this is the list of the cost of the water for the corporation water. There is a flat rate of 1 rupee per liter. For borewell water, there's a flat rate again for 1.5 per liter. For water, there is a slab to for 0 to 500 liter of water. You pay 2 rupee per liter. More than that, 501 to 1500, you pay 3 rupees per liter. 1501 till 3000, you pay 5 rupee per liter, and more than that you pay 8 rupees per liter. This is the format of the input that we'll be receiving. First thing is the command allot water, then we have the apartment type 2 BHK or 3 BHK, and then we'll have a ratio of corporation water and borewell water. So for example, you see allot water for 3 BHK with a ratio of 1 ratio 5. And then we have a command for add guest, which just takes number of guests you want to add. So this is another example, add guest 10 guests. So this will add 10 guests. And last command is bill. So this prints the water consumption in liter and total cost after cumulative adding up all the guesses cost in the bill. This command will be executed only once at the end of the month. You can say at the end of the input set. It should print the total water consumption and the total cost in this format. First thing it should print is total water consumed, then the total cost. One of the example is 1500, and then this is the amount which has to be paid. We have some assumptions. All the calculation are done for a single apartment in a month. Number of days in a month is assumed to be 30. The water consumption is measured in liter. All the calculations should be rounded off to nearest integer. No decimal values are used. Allotment based on the ratio is done only once at the start of the month. Guess can be added multiple number of times. The command will bill can be executed only once, which is at the end of the month. It should be part of the input set. So these are the assumptions we have. I hope the problem is clear. Now let's get to the solution. So here is my GitHub repository where I have attached the solution. This is for now private. I'll make it public and then you can use the link. For this solution, I'm using Kotlin as a language with Java 17, and there are some input format which I have mentioned in the README. So first example of the input set is you allot water for 2 BHK in 3 into 3 ratio 7, and then you add 2 guests, then you add 3 guests, then you ask for a will. Um, Consider we had to read from the console. I'm using Gradle as a build tool, and the files are located into resource directory, and you can use any of that. Similarly, we have few more commands and builds. Let's see the approach to the solution. So let's start from the test so that it's easy to understand what I'm trying to develop. Basically, what we say that there could be commands. There are different sets of commands that I have, and for each of the commands, we will be receiving the commands through an input file. So we have to have some sort of parser to first of all pass the input. So for that we have the parser, and the parser does what parser does is it takes the input file, and then it reads the file, and it passes all the input string into the commands. And it also there are some commands which also needs to have arguments, so it takes that and passes it to command. So similarly you can see all the test cases. So I'm using JUnit for the testing purposes. Now let's jump into the code. So basically the idea here I'm following is the following some sort of hexagonal pattern or ports and adapter pattern in this one, wherein I've created a lot of interfaces, and then with the interfaces, using the interfaces, I'm deriving the implementation of it. So there are few entities that we see from the problem statement. First one being the apartment. So apartment can be of two types. One is 2 BHK, one is 3 BHK. And I've given the head count, how many numbers it can accommodate. So for 2 BHK we can have 3 people. For 3 BHK we can have 5 people. So, and there is a getter for get max head count. So this will basically get you the number of guests it can, number of people it can accommodate. Then this is one entity, and then the second entity will be the water bill service. We will come to this later, but first of all, let's go into the parser because this is an essential entity that we need to solve the problem. The first thing which we need to do is to pass the command. So the parser I built in, it'll output a command. So basically, the command format will be it'll have a command type, and then it'll have a list of argument. So what is command type? Let's see. So command type for now we have three as an enum, allotment water, add guest and bill. These are the three commands we can have for now. So we see what is command and what is command type. Now let's see what is input parser here. So input parser, what is it does is it from the file operation. This is the one I have created for reading the file. It reads the file, it splits it into multiple line because each of the input will be separated by a new line. So I am taking all the inputs in a line and then mapping it to input. In map input, what I'm doing is I'm splitting the command because it will be the first one. So the first thing is the command, and the second, all the rest are the argument. So I'm splitting it from to get the all the commands. And once I get the command, I'm checking if the command is of what type, and then I'm creating a command with the argument. So this is the command class and all the arguments are passed. And to handle an invalid command, I've had this exception which I've created separately. So I have this exception manager which has invalid command input, and I'm using this to in this. We can add few more where, as and when required, but for now I think this is sufficient. I don't think we'll need to show the file operation file, but I'll still go ahead and show it very quickly because it's one of the part of the thing. In the config command execution, where is the file reader? Okay, in IO we have this file operation. So this is basically a simple Kotlin class which reads your file, and I'm using it to pass the file because eventually I'll have to read it from somewhere. Once we have the command ready, right, we need to execute the commands one by one, right? So for that, what I have done is I'll come to the water management related, which is a critical thing uh, after everything is done, so that we understand it thoroughly. So once the command is ready, I'll have a list of commands. So let's say there are three commands. One is the allotment, then we have add guest, and then we have bill. So this is a list of commands, and I'll keep it in the list. Now, once I have that list, I'll have to also execute the command. So for that, what I've done is I've created this command processor. So what it does is it takes list of commands and a command executor builder and then a logger which actually logs your output of that command. So here we see we have command executor dot build. What it is doing is it's taking the command and then executing it with the arguments. So we'll have to see what is this command executor actually is. So we go to the command executor, which is an interface which takes a function to execute it, and we'll see how we are using it. So now we see this command executor builder, uh, which is taking water bill service and checking if what type of command it is. If the command is of allowed water type, what we are doing is we are returning an allowed water command executor. And similarly, if we have add guess or bill, we are returning bill command executor and add guess command executor. Let's jump into that. So let's first go to allot water command executor. So this is of type command executor. So all these are command executors. What it is doing is because we know what type of command this is, now it has to also pass the arguments because all the commands has a different types of argument. For example, this allowed water takes a ratio and takes the apartment type, and based on that we do some things, right? So here I'm checking what type of apartment it is. If it's invalid, I'm just throwing the invalid command exception from here, and then if not, then I'm getting the ratio, water ratio. Water ratio is basically nothing but if you can expand this, uh, water ratio is DTO which I have created. It takes corporate water ratio and borewell water ratio, which we have seen in the problem statement. And then from the water bill service, it executes it tells the water bill service to allot the water given the apartment type and the ratio. Similarly, we have add guest command. It passes the number of guests, then ask water bill service to execute this command. And for bill command, we are expecting with that because there are no arguments to it. We are asking water bill service to execute the bill command. Hope that is clear. Now, once we know how to get the input and how to pass it, now let's actually jump into water bill service and what it is doing because that's the core part of it. As a boundary, what we see is water bill service as a boundary to allot water, to add guest, and to bill. And you can change the implementation based on that. So, and we also have this water rate calculator because we know there are two types of rate that can have. One is the flat rate calculator, and other is the slab rate calculator. So there are two different types of rates which you can calculate, right? So in the water rate, we have a flat rate calculator, which is of type water rate calculator. It calculates the flat rate, and then we have slabs, which is the DTO, and which takes the lower bound, upper bound, and the rate, which is mentioned in the problem statement, right? I can, if you want to relate, I'll go back to the problem and see this is the slab. So basically lower bound, upper bound, and the rate. So this is what it is in the slab. Now we have the slab rate calculator. In slab rate calculator, there's an implementation to how we calculate slab. So you don't need to worry about the implementation, what it is doing, but you need to worry about the idea that we are doing. Tomorrow, if you want to create a custom sort of rate, it becomes very easy because now you can add another type of water rate calculator, which um, which will calculate your custom thing, right? So it becomes very easy to add different sort of rate. For now, we have two flat rate and slab rate, but even if you want to do calculations and all, it need not to be changed in the actual water bill service. Now let's get into water bill service, which is the core part of it. Water bill service implements water bill service boundary, which means it has to have water, allot water, add gas, and bill, and rest are the helper function for this. So we are keeping few of the properties: water, total gas, apartment type, water ratio, and water allotment. How much water has been able to do what. And then in allot water, we are doing things for allotting the water. For add gas command, we are doing things to adding the gas and also adding the water consumed by that into 10, because per person per day requires 10 liters of water. So similarly, we'll need to have that, right? For build, we are doing certain things. These are the implementation. Implementation you can take care. The architecture you have to be more careful of. The implementation you can take care. Uh, then we have calculate. Then we have some helper function to do that. And I've also created this config, which is also very important because we don't want to have like hard-coded data, hard-coded slab. So this, in ideal cases, it should be coming from a properties file where we have all the configuration, or a environment variable. But for this problem, I think it could have been an over-engineering, so I haven't done that. But you see in the configuration that we have slab, we have order rates, and some assumption that we have taken in starting. And also that for testing purposes we have all the inputs ready in the resource folder, and carefully if you see we have test cases for all of it: flat rate calculator, slab rate calculator. We have test cases for input parser. We have test cases for even logger. Yeah, I wanted to actually talk about this logger also. If you see logger, the logger has some interesting thing. Logger has a boundary. So for now I'm using console logger, but tomorrow if I want to pass some other sort of logger, uh, some network logger and all, I can just change this implementation of log by using the logger, and it will print onto any of the stream. You just need to print over. So core implementation will still be taking just the logger, and then you can change the implementation to have just this override function, and it becomes easy. That's why I was calling it initially ports and adapter pattern, because now this logger becomes the port, and then we have the adapters, right? So this is where we have console logger tests. Then we have file operation tests, and then we also have command processor tests, which basically is kind of an integration test because it is taking the test input file and running all the commands, and then it is doing some expectations. So this is interesting because we are reading from the resource file, which is, if you see in the test directory, we have some test input file. So it's taking that even the input file, invalid input commands has to be tested. Um, the invalid command here is this one, bad command, bad guess. So those and all has to be taken. I think this is clear. If I want to draw, for example, one of the images just to relate what's happening here, that also I can do, right? So I think this was clear. Hope you have a clear understanding of this problem. At least I'll attach the GitHub link for the repo, and I'll solve few more problems in upcoming videos. So thank you all for watching till here. Bye bye.